So, okay, got it. So did you have an interesting day or a fun day or a busy day?
I had a fun day.
A fun day? Didn't have to do anything hard, huh?
No, I didn't have a lot of fun.
Okay, wonderful. Well, did you get a chance to write a sentence with brass and dazed?
Yes,
Okay. Well, let's hear what you wrote.
I had seen a base statue king.
You saw a big statue king made of brass. Yeah. We got to get the word in our sentence. I saw a big statue king made of brass.
Yeah.
Okay. Very good. Very good. More?
My friend gave me a brass cow.
A brass cow. Okay. Yes. Yeah, a little statue of a brass cow. Very good. Okay. Yeah, like my goat. Very good. Okay. What about dazed or daze? Dazed.
Risa dazed that someone kidnapped her.
Okay. What was her name?
Rina.
Rila was dazed when someone kidnapped her.
My friend dazed that one monster is living under her bed.
Okay. Well, we would have to put something like felt in front of dazed. My friend felt dazed when she thought a monster was under her bed. Something like that. All right, those are good. Thank you for working on those.
Sentence.
Oh, okay.
Two glass.
All right, go ahead.
Okay. I had done with this too and with this. That too.
Oh, okay. So we're done with sentences. Well, the last time we met, we were talking about some places that you might look up in an atlas. Did you find them?
California.
California. Yeah.
And Arctic.
Arctic. The Arctic.
Arctic.
Yes. And
North. Is it?
California, Alaska. Did you find Alaska?
No, Alaska and one more.
Yukon. Yukon. The Yukon?
Yeah, Yukon.
Okay. So now we're leaving the United States and we're gonna move up into Canada. So the Yukon is up in Canada, and it's a really cold, snowy place. And to get around, the people had to use sleds, and they had dogs pulling those sleds. So Buck is going to become a sled dog, pulling a sled. Now, do you remember why they were wanting sled dogs in the Yukon? What happened that made people want to go there?
See more places by the dogs.
Yeah, but why were people wanting to go there to the Yukon?
Enjoyed it.
Well, gold was discovered. And so there were a lot of people that thought they could get rich really quick if they went to the Yukon and found gold. So they call that a gold rush. People were rushing to this place in hopes that they would find gold and become rich. So yeah, there was a gold rush in the United States, and now there's a gold rush in um, Canada, which is up in the Yukon. So anyway, they needed these dogs to help them get around in all the snow. And that's why Buck was kidnapped. He was kidnapped to become a sled dog and pull these sleds. All right, so the reason they wanted to go up there was because there was gold up there in this new land, and people were rushing up there to find gold before someone else found it. They wanted to be the first ones there to find it, right? You don't want somebody else to find it, you want to find it. So they were rushing up into Canada, up into the area called the Yukon, and they were hunting for gold. So they had to do it quickly. They had to do it fast. They wanted to be there first. Okay, so there's a couple of new characters that we're going to read about today. The first one is, let's see, man. He doesn't have a name, but he's the man in the red sweater. So they just referred to him as the man in the red sweater. Man in the red sweater. And his job.
And can you tell me the spelling of red sweater?
Red is R-E-D, red. And then sweater is S-W-E-A-T-E-R. Sweater. Do you know what a sweater is?
Yeah, it is probably get put down.
Yes. Yeah. It's heavy, so it helps keep you warm. So the man in the red sweater, and his job was to do something with Buck, which we'll read about in the chapter. And then another name is Perrault. And this is a French name, so it's a funny pronunciation for the spelling. But let me give you the spelling of Perrault. Ready? P, capital P, E-R-R, A-U-L-T. Now, that doesn't look like it would be pronounced Perrault, but it is. It's a French name, and their pronunciations are a little bit different than ours. So he was a Frenchman in French Canada. He was a French Canadian, I guess. And he was the owner of a sled, and he wanted Buck on his team. So he's the first person to buy Buck. All right. Are you ready for chapter 2?
Yes.
All right. Chapter 2 is called The Law of the Club. The law of the club. A club is like a big stick, a big heavy stick that you would hit something with. All right, here we go. The law of the club. For 2 days and nights, Buck neither ate nor drank. Shaking, he flung himself against the bars. The hunger was painful, but the thirst for water was torture. His throat was dry, his tongue was swollen, and his body burned with fever. He was glad for one thing. The rope was off his neck. Never again would a man get a rope around his neck, for in those 2 days and nights of torment, he was changed into a new animal, a raging beast. He was so changed that the judge himself would not have recognized him. The train workers were glad to see this fierce beast leave the train at Seattle. Four men carefully carried the crate from the wagon into a small yard. A stout man with a red sweater came out and signed the book for the driver. Buck knew this was the next tormentor, and he hurled himself against the bars. The man smiled grimly and brought out a hatchet and a club. Do you know what a hatchet is? Hello? I think we lost her. Everything went dark. Well,
I think she's stuck. Yeah, I'll call her.
I think maybe they lost their electricity.
1 second, I'm calling.
Okay, okay.
Hello, number one. Hello?
Hello?
Hello? Yeah, there's no power in our house. It has gone.
What's gone?
Power has- You can continue story.
Yeah, I can't understand anything. It's all garbled.
You can start your story.
Did you lose electricity?
Yes. My mobile data.
Well, can you hear me?
Yes.
So should I go ahead and read?
Yes, of course.
All right. Here we go. So let's see. The man in the red sweater, he saw the man in the red sweater and he knew this was his next tormentor, and he hurled himself against the bars. The man smiled grimly and brought out a hatchet and a club. You ain't gonna take him out now? The driver asked. Sure, the man replied, prying the crate open with the hatchet. The four men who had carried the crate in quickly scattered and got atop a safe, high wall to watch. Buck snarled, growled, and rushed at the side of the crate. Now, you red-eyed devil, said the man in the red sweater when the crate was dashed open. He dropped the hatchet and shifted the club to his right hand. And Buck truly was a red-eyed devil, with hair bristling, mouth foaming, a mad glitter in his bloodshot eyes. Straight at the man, he launched his 140 pounds of fury. In midair, just as his jaws were about to close on the man, he received a shocking blow. Can you see the picture?
Yes.
Okay. So the man in the red sweater is going to use his club to make Buck behave. Okay, so just as Buck's jaws were about to close on the man, he received a shocking blow. He whirled over, hitting the ground on his back and side. He had never been struck by a club in his life and did not understand. With a snarl that was part bark but more scream, he was again on his feet and he launched into the air. And again the shock came when he was brought crushingly to the ground. This time he knew it was the club, but a dozen times he charged, and a dozen times the club broke the charge and smashed him down. Buck crawled to his feet, too dazed to rush. He staggered limply about, the blood flowing from nose and mouth and ears. Then the man gave him a frightful blow on the nose. All the pain he had ever known was nothing compared with this. With a lion-like roar, he again hurled himself at the man. The man struck a final blow, and Buck crumpled up and went down, knocked completely senseless. He can break a dog. He can break a dog, that's what I say, one of the men on the wall exclaimed. I'd rather break wild mustangs any day, was the reply of the driver as he climbed on the wagon and started the horses. Buck's senses came back to him, but not his strength. He lay where he had fallen, and from there he watched the man in the red sweater. The man read over the note that came with the crate. Well, Buck, my boy, he went on in a friendly voice, we've had our little lesson, and the best thing we can do is to let it go at that. You've learned your place, and I know mine. Be a good dog, and all will go well. Be a bad dog, and I'll beat the stuffing out of you. Understand? As he spoke, he patted the head he had so cruelly pounded with no mercy. Buck's hair bristled at the touch of the hand, but he lay still. When the man brought him water, he drank eagerly and later gulped down a meal of raw meat, chunk by chunk, from the man's hand. He was beaten, he knew that, but he was not broken. He saw that he stood no chance against a man with a club. He had learned the lesson, and he would never forget it. As the days went by, other dogs came in crates, and at the end of ropes. Some came quietly, some came, and some raged and roared.
Shaleen వస్తుంది iPad ఫోన్ కూడా Shaleen వస్తుంది.
Can you see the picture?
Your video's off.
My video's off?
Yes.
No, it says it's on.
Then maybe dark screen or my iPad.
Can you see me now?
No.
Well, my video, it says my video's on. But you can hear me?
Yes.
All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and finish this chapter. Okay, so some more dogs were coming in, Buck watched each new dog pass under the club of the man in the red sweater, and he knew then that a man with a club was a lawgiver, a master to be obeyed, but never a friend. More strangers came who talked quietly and eagerly to the man in the red sweater. Money passed between them, and the strangers took one or more of the dogs away with them. Buck wondered where they went, for they never came back. And then his time came. A little wrinkled man who spoke broken English spotted Buck. Hola, he cried when his eyes lit upon Buck. Dat one bully dog, eh? How much? 300, and that is a bargain, said the man in the red sweater. And you are paying with government money. You can afford that, eh, Perrault? Perrault grinned. For so fine an animal, this was not a high price. The Canadian government could well afford such a dog. Perrault knew dogs, and when he looked at Buck, he knew that he was 1 in 1,000. No, 1 in 10,000, he said to himself. Can you see?
No.
My video's still off? Okay. Hold on.
I think how we. Joanna, are you connected to internet or phone?
Wi-Fi.
Wi-Fi.
Okay. Do an on and off. Can you see Jack now? I can see Jack.
Yeah. Can we rejoin?
Can you see Jack?
So, ఈ number వస్తుంది.
Can we leave the meeting and can we rejoin?
Yeah, do that, do that.
Okay. Am I visible to you?
Can you see me?
Yes.
Oh, good, good, good. All right, well, let me go back and show you some pictures. So we were talking about, whoops. I don't know if you can see that. Can you see that?
Yes.
Ooh. So that's the man in the red sweater after he had hit Buck a dozen times or more. And you can see the men that were there, they were afraid and they jumped up on the wall to get away. Because Buck was such a fierce, angry dog. They were afraid of him. And here's a picture after he had hit him with the club so many times. And the man in the red sweater was giving him water and some food to eat finally, because he hadn't had any water or food for several days. So he was weak on top of having been beaten. So Buck knew that this guy was somebody that he should pay attention, or that he should mind. He knew he wasn't a friend, but he knew he was stronger than Buck. And so Buck kind of gave up. Well, here's Perrault, and he's buying Buck, and he buys some other dogs too. He's buying Buck from the man in the red sweater. All right, one more short page. So Buck saw money pass between Perot and the man in the red sweater. Perot also bought another dog. He was a good-natured Newfoundland named Curly, and he led the two dogs away. That was the last Buck saw of the man in the red sweater. As Curly and he looked at the shoreline from the deck of a boat, it was the last time he ever saw the warm land of the Southland coast. So they were finally in Seattle, which is still in the United States. Seattle is in the upper northwest corner of the United States in a state called Washington, Seattle, Washington. So from there, it's very short. It's just very quick to get over into Canada. So the dogs were taken from Canada into the Yukon, and that's what happened to Buck. So he was kidnapped, he was taken away, he was upset, he didn't know what was happening to him, he was mean, and he wanted to bite the people that were taking him. And then the man in the red sweater taught him a lesson about obeying your master. So he didn't break his spirit, but he taught Buck a lesson about who to mind. And when it comes to somebody with a club, you better watch out because they're in charge, right? Okay. Do you have any questions about what I read today?
No.
All right, so let's go back. There were some words I wanted to double check with you on. And there was one more, but I can't think what it was. Anyway, okay, so what about the word torture? Do you know what it is to be tortured?
Yes.
What's happening when you're being tortured?
Tortures as like not get food, not get water, or someone takes something and does not give it back.
Okay, yeah. You're pretty young to know about torture, but you'll learn about that probably later. But torture is, yeah, it's like a bully that just won't leave you alone, and they just keep doing things that hurt you and hurt you and hurt you, and that's torture. And people are tortured, and dogs and cats are tortured for different reasons, but it's a bad thing. Torture is a bad thing. Okay, the hair on the back of Buck would bristle. Do you know what that means when the hair bristles?
Yes.
Have you ever been scared and felt the hair on the back of your neck kind of stick up?
Yes.
Yeah. Have you ever seen a dog have the hair on his back kind of stick up when he's upset and angry? Okay, we call that's bristle. The hair bristles on his back. How about fury? Fury. Do you know what fury means?
Yes, scared about something.
Well, fury is, let's see. I want to make sure I tell you right. It's when you're just more angry and upset than you've ever been. It's just violent anger. And so Buck was filled with this horrible anger towards the people who had taken him. And so he was filled with fury, violent anger. How about a dozen? Do you know what dozen is? D-O-Z-E-N?
Anything that would be 12.
Yes, okay. So when he was being hit with the club by the man with the red sweater, he was being hit at least a dozen times. So That's at least 12 times, right?
Yeah.
Okay, well, good. Did you, when you lost power, everything went dark. I didn't know if you could hear or not. So I think you heard the whole chapter. So just real quick, can you just summarize for me what has happened in the story so far? Start from the very beginning. Just tell me what's happened in your own words.
But just say some experience. Like what happened to Buck? Only that
Yeah.
things.
Yeah, what happened to Buck? How did the story begin?
Buck was Judge Miller's dog, and Judge Miller loved Buck so much, and every day at the afternoon they will take a bath in the swimming pool.
Yeah,
And one day strange man came and kidnapped Buck and take him in to other place and make him what's that? Sled dog.
right.
Sled dog for hunting gold. And a man named a man in red sweater. Man in red sweater. He has taken a club and he hurted Buck a dozen times, and after that man in red sweater had gave Buck the food and water, and he said, "You have to be a good dog, and you can be a more good than other dogs. You bad, you will be killed." Understand? Said the red and sweater. No, the man in red sweater.
Right. So how did you feel when Buck was being beaten? How did that make you feel?
Sad.
Yeah. We don't like to see any animal treated like that. And especially a good dog like Buck. That makes us feel very sad. So, but the man was teaching Buck that he couldn't behave that way. He was going to start a new life, and he had to behave, and he had to mind. He had to do what his owners told him to do. So the rest of the story, as we get into it here, there's several chapters. I think there's 15 chapters. And we'll just read one chapter a day. So this is going to take us a couple months to get through this. But do you like the story, or do you want me to go on? Or I mean, okay, it's a good story, and I think you'll like it once we get into it a little bit more. This first part was kind of a sad part because Buck was treated so poorly, but he'll find his way, and he'll make his life will be a little bit better. All right, well, girl, we're out of time for today. Let's see. I think we'll just skip the words, any new words today, and we'll meet again on Monday.
Yes, I think.
Okay. One thing I would like you to do is to find Seattle in your map, in your atlas.
California.
What?
California.
Okay, hang on. Yeah, capital S, E, A,
SEA.
Capital SEA. Did you get SEA?
Yes.
Okay. TTLE.
TT.
Okay, and so Seattle is very close to the United States and the Canadian border. So in your atlas, look at where Seattle is, and then try to find the border between the United States and Canada.
Okay.
You know what I mean when I say the border between United States and Canada? The border is where the United States stops and Canada begins. It's a line that they're going to draw between the two countries. Okay. So find Seattle, Washington. It's in the state of Washington. Maybe you better write Washington too. Seattle is a town or city, and Washington is a state. So let's write Washington. Seattle, Washington. Washington is capital WASH INGTON. Washington.
Washington.
How many syllables are there in Seattle? Seattle.
3.
Yes. How about Washington? Correct. Good job. All right. Well, you have a good weekend. Enjoy your weekend. And did you tell me school was going to start next week? Or it's already
Yes.
started?
15.
It starts next week.
Yeah.
So you'll be in a new grade. You'll be in grade 3.
Yes.
Oh boy, so many new things to learn.
Like I had a big answers.
It'll be kind of exciting, and you'll get to see your friends again. That'll be fun. All right, well, we'll meet Monday again, and you will already have been in class, I think, if I'm understanding this correctly. And so you can tell me about your first day in school next week.
Okay, can you tell me your date?
My date
Yes.
today is June 3rd.
June 3rd. For us, 4.
School starts 30. June 30.
30. And June 30.
Oh, June 13th you start.
Yes.
Okay, well, that's another week or so. So, yeah, almost, it's 10 days. June 13th. What is that? What day is that? Yeah, that's a Monday. So still have one more week of vacation before school starts.
Yeah.
Okay, well, you have a nice weekend. Try to do something fun and enjoy yourself.
Yeah.
All right.
Added tomorrow in the program.
Oh, you have a program tomorrow?
Yes.
Well,
Yeah.
is that for Bible?
And I get it. Everything is closing, but I had continuing my karate.
Oh, this isn't Bible school?
Yes.
Okay.
School.
Bible school's over?
Yes.
Okay, did you have a program for Bible school?
Yes. I had a children's choir.
Oh, you sang in the choir?
Yes.
Oh, nice. Okay, so you're having a ending program for karate?
But yes, but I'm continuing karate on every Saturday and Sunday.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, that's something good to look forward to.
And tomorrow is closing seminar.
Are you working towards your black belt?
Now, I'm getting a white shirt and then I had a white t-shirt and a blue jeans
Okay.
and then a ponytail. I can also have a ponytail like this over my
Oh, nice. Okay. Well, that'll be fun. So that's something fun to forward to. Okay. Well, you can tell me about that on Monday. We'll meet on Monday. Okay.
Okay,
All right. Let's say goodbye.
bye. Thank you for the class.
Welcome. Have a nice weekend.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.